My name is Wayne Groot. I'm a third-generation potato farmer in the Edmonton area, and I live right in the industrial heartland of Alberta. What's happened is a large area of land here has been bought up by large petrochemical companies, and they want to build upgraders right next to me and right on top of me, perhaps, if they could, and as well as several other upgraders in the area wanting to be built as well. An upgrader takes the bitumen from the tar sands or the oil sands up in Ft.McMurray, and they basically upgrade it to something that can be refined. So because it's a really heavy crude, it has to be upgraded before it can go through a refinery. So after it's upgraded, it's similar to oil that would come out of the ground. Maybe I'll explain first that Edmonton was built on some very good agricultural land. That's one of the reasons they started Edmonton in the first place. It's an island of beautiful land, but as Edmonton has expanded, they've, of course, expanded onto this good land. And so right now, 30 years ago, we moved from the city of Edmonton out this way, about 20 miles farther out of the city, and we're on the edge of this island of good soil now. And we grow potatoes, and it's wonderful land for growing potatoes and other root crops, as well as grain. But potatoes and root crops are much more intensive, of course. But this ground is never part of an equation when it comes to urban sprawl or building upgraders. There's lots of poor land not far from here that they could build these upgraders on, but they decided, for tax reasons and whatever reasons, that building on this good farmland would be a good idea. And that's been always my biggest fight, is that this industry shouldn't be built on good farmland. It should be built farther away on poorer soils. Well, people have come to our door and offered to buy it from us. And we've said, if you could find us what we have here 10 miles away, we'll sell and move, because we farm some very unique soils here. We have irrigation infrastructure. There's a wonderful microclimate around Edmonton, and they're very rich soils. If you could find us something similar 10 miles away, we'll sell here and move there. But they can't do that, and that's our issue. Is we can't sell and move anywhere else and have what we have here. I feel a real I'm not sure what the right word is, affinity with the native people. I feel exactly how they feel. I've used that comment often in where we're at. I says, well, now we know how the natives felt when the white men first came to this country. Even it's you get these big corporations come in, and they're not worried about me. There's a bit of a process, a consultation process, and this hearing process, but it's a given that they're going to get what they want. You know, they threaten to pull out billions of dollars or millions and millions of dollars of taxes, and the governments are going to jump. And one little potato farmer who employs a few people and feeds a few people, it's insignificant, really. In regards to the oil sands or tar sands, there's never been anything stopped. You know, there's been been conditions put on some plants, and some temporary shutdowns perhaps, but a project has never been stopped through the appeal process or through the hearing process. I think there's more awareness of the environment now, and and through people like us fighting these things, I think things have changed in regards to awareness, as well as the plants being built now do a much better job than they did 30, 40 years ago. There's no question about that. If it wasn't for people like us perhaps pushing, I don't think that would have happened nearly as quickly. So these plants, when they want to build them, they have to do a much better job in regards to planning their pollution controls and so on. So there are some good things that come out of our fighting, but overall, people are still more concerned about economics and environment. The environment, everyone would like to save the pristine environment, but they don't see that they don't see that 20, 30, 40 years down the road, who knows what's going to happen in regards to cancer or asthma or other problems that come with pollution. There are several upgraders that have been approved. There's one in the neighborhood that's been built. It had been built already back in the 90s, the Shell Scotford upgrader. Then there's been 1, 2, 3, 4 other upgraders approved since then. One just got approved a week ago. None of these have been built yet, mostly because of the economic downturn. And but if all 4 of those were to get built, then all of a sudden there's 5 upgraders in the area, and then there was talk at one time you'd have even 2 or 3 more possibilities. And now, as long as they're not built, everything is fine. But because 5 of them already have the approval to build, they can be built. and then that's going to have a dramatic effect on the pollution in the area, and that's our biggest concern, is that's not being addressed. I don't think the cumulative effects of all these upgraders built right next to each other has, I don't think we've done near enough study on that yet. There are some trends for cancer and asthma in the area. There hasn't been any real definitive, well-done studies on that yet. And with a boom comes a fall. That creates a lot of distress for a lot of people as well. The mentality of our government has been full steam ahead as fast as we can. We're not going to put the brakes on anything. And, a minority group of us think that, that's not really sustainable anymore. I even question whether we have to keep growing, but certainly growth has to slow right down. If we want to be sustainable, let's do things really slowly. We don't have to double the population in our province in 10 years. We can just have slow growth, or flatline even. And I think that's our future if we want to keep living sustainably in a finite world. We can't continue to grow. We never learn our lessons, and to be fair, it's a new generation every time, more or less. But everyone thinks let the good times roll, and they don't realize that it's going to come to a stop.